are you looking for your next romance read?
Out of all the books I've read, these are the top 5 romance books I think you should read this 2025. Basically, what I mean by this, if you read any romance books, read these 5. And the reason I say this is because they're not only just romance, they are thoughtful, they are funny. And each of these books are just so different from each other, and they all have their own specialness about them. So I really hope you read them this year. And the first book we have on the list is... Whoa. Here it is. So the first book I have for you is Hate Mail. This book is basically about, let me jog my memory. It's about 2 pen pals, Naomi and Luca, who have been sending each other letters since they were, I think, in school. Now they're both grown up, they have their own jobs, but Luca has stopped sending letters. And now Naomi's like, excuse me? I thought this was a deal. I thought we were sending each other letters. And so Naomi can't really take it anymore, and she's like, I'm going to find out why this douchebag has stopped messaging me, writing me letters. That is what the book is about. And the reason I put this in my top 5 books is because I loved the concept of this book instantly when I heard what it was. I mean, 2 humans sending each other letters. They're pen pals. Who does that these days? And also, the cover is super pretty as well, which also always helps. So I had been reading more overtly romantic books with more spice in it before this, and so when I read this, it was like a breath of fresh air. I was like, oh my god, I'm getting a chance to breathe. Also, do ignore the changing lighting. The sun is not on my side today. And I absolutely love when books have elements such as if they have letters in it, text messages, or other stuff that is just different from the formatted text on the book. Best believe this book has it, because you get to read the letters they both sent to each other, which I love going back in time. And more than half the book is more of like a mystery type of phase, because Naomi is finding Luca, and we actually don't get to meet Luca until like towards the end of the book, which I love, because I think one thing I was really afraid of is that when they would meet, instantly something would happen, sparks would fly, and it would go back to being a normal romance book. But no, that did not happen, and to find out more, you have to read it. And I give it, I don't remember, this is how much I give
Now
it.
that we've talked about the first book, let's talk about the second one. I thought the angle was being a bit boring, so I might change it up. Anyway, so our next book is Twisted Games. If you've been on my channel, you've probably heard me talk about Reese Larson and this book 1,000 times. So this book is actually from the Twisted series. There are 4 books in this series, but I personally chose only this book to be part of this video. So what I personally think is, if you don't read the rest of the books from the series, I won't mind, and I don't think anyone will mind. I think you should read this. I think this is the best book from the series. So this book is basically a bodyguard and a princess trope. So we have Bridget and Reese Larson. Reese is the bodyguard, Bridget is the princess, and so as we can imagine, Reese is hired to be Bridget's bodyguard, and they both have a very much, Bridget thinks that Reese is attractive, but Reese is like, this is my job, I am keeping it professional, so I am gonna keep you at arm's length distance. Arm's length distance, you know what I mean? That's all I'm gonna give you. This is quite a thick book. I, however, did not mind it, because I just loved the 2 main characters so much that I just wish there was more of them. Again, I have very bad memory when it comes to books, how much I've read, what I've rated them, what I even thought about the book, or what is happening in the books, but with this one, I do remember. And one thing I also really like about this book is you get to know more about Reese himself, about his life, where he comes from, why he thinks the way he thinks, because he does have some dark and morbid thoughts, just like all the men in the Twisted series. However, in comparison, I think he is the least darkest of all. I mean, all of them do kill people, but like, they're killing for their love, so I guess it's okay. And even if you don't know the Twisted series, well, I'm gonna tell you, in all the other books, I have found the men to be a lot more possessive and just over the top, which at the starting I did not find attractive. He always is just like the perfect gentleman, and I would recommend you read this book in 2025. And I gave this a 5-star. I don't want to change the angle again, so much better. Do you like the transitions? I really thought about them. So the next book, as you can see, is Funny Story. Honestly, I do not remember their names, and their names are not on the book. Ooh, one is Peter. No, Miles. Daphne. So our main characters are Miles and Daphne. Oh my god, is this a complicated plot? So basically, we have Daphne, who has a fiance, but the fiance is in love with someone else, and that someone else, the girl, had a boyfriend who is Miles. That happens. Miles and Daphne now live together in Miles' apartment, and the other 2 are now married. Both of their fiancés, well, married? I guess you would call it married. Well, they're living together. And so basically both of their fiancés have left them, and now they both are just platonically living with each other in the guy's apartment, because the girl doesn't have anywhere else to live. I recently read this romance book, and dare I say, I loved it. Why did I make it sound like I was gonna say something like, dare I say? So I really like this book because obviously there's the romance plot, but as the 2 characters get to know each other and get to be more friendly with each other, they are just so complicated on their own, both of them individually. And then when they get to know each other and they do start to think, oh my god, I might start liking you, I might have a crush on you, they both kind of look inwards and I'm like, actually I am not okay from the inside, and so I don't think I can give myself to this other person if I'm not okay. So I really like that. We love some self-improvement, self-helps self-diagnosis we love. And I just loved reading how Daphne and Miles with their previous fiancés thought that that was their person for them, but now that they're in this difficult situation when they're with each other, they're like, actually that wasn't the end of our world and there is more for us. And I absolutely love that, because sometimes you can feel like, oh, your world is ending, like tomorrow I am going to pass out because the weight of this world is just too much, and I give this a 5 star. So my 4th book is over there, so let's go get it. Here it is. So the next book is Rebecca by, I'm not gonna try and pronounce her name. So this is a very interesting book with a very interesting plot. So basically this book is not about Rebecca. You thought so, didn't you? No, it's not. This book is about our main female character who does not have a name. I figured that out at the end of the book when I read it and googled it. Doesn't have a name. So basically our unnamed main character works for an old lady as a companion, and so she travels with her everywhere she goes to give her company. So this one day this old woman goes to a hotel somewhere, where I don't know, and over there our main character meets Maxime. Maxime is a wealthy, very well-known man around this town slash village, and so Maxime and this character instantly strike up a conversation, and they both find a liking towards each other. So after a while, it is now time for the old lady to travel somewhere else and spend her retired time in some other beautiful place. Our main character, however, is like, I do not want to do this job anymore. It's kind of boring and I don't want to work as a companion for this woman anymore. So Maxime proposes that she marry him and come with him to his town. So that's exactly what she does. She marries him, goes to his town, which he owns, and lives in a big house. However, all the servants, everyone in that town, nobody likes her because everyone remembers Maxime's first wife, Rebecca, and they're still not over her. Oh, and she's dead. Like the first wife is dead. So our main character no longer feels welcome. Maxime starts getting distant, and now she's living a depressing housewife life. That rhymed somehow. Housewife life. Housewife life. DJ Khaled. I think from all the books I've talked about, this is the most, oh my god. Also, if you're a Swiftie, Taylor Swift read this book, so just saying. This was my very first classic book after school that I ever read, and which I also really love. This book and the writing of this book is the definition of beautiful. It is written so well, so beautifully, you'll actually fall in love. The mundane tasks of life, the way they are described, is like chef's kiss, and the persuasive way our main character is described, that even though she thinks or does some things that you wouldn't necessarily do, the circumstances are created that way that you're like, actually I root for her and I would do the same. Maybe I would not actually, but she's our friend, we're the cheerleader, and we're like, whoop whoop, go you, do that, even though you shouldn't do that. Oh, and the ending, if you want a banger ending, read this book. In a romance, would you never ever ever expect such an ending? It will give it to you in such a way that you're going to read it, you're going to close the book, you're going to be like, what just happened? And then you're going to open the book and you're going to reread the first some pages, and you're going to be like, oh, it all makes sense now. I give this a 5 star. We just have one more book. I'm honestly getting kind of tired of these transitions. Let's just go to the next book and the next location. This is our last book, and that is Nora Goes Off Script. This is a very short book, so if you are just getting into romance or you're not looking for a book that will intimidate you, I think this is a perfect book. So this book is about Nora, whose husband has walked away from her and her 2 kids, and now she is a single mother. And so instead of sulking on the situation, she starts writing a script on it. She turns it into a Hallmark movie, and now there are actors in this movie, obviously. And so the actor that is hired to play her ex-husband's part is actually very handsome, and is also a very world famous known Hollywood star. Hollywood star. That is what the book is about. Every time I talk about this book in any video, I always make sure to mention I finished this book in 1 day. Another one, the cover is just elite. Oh my god, and one line that is written here, which I love, it says, "And sparks fly. But Leo, can Nora rewrite the script she's been following her whole life?" What a catch line. This was a new author for me, so I was a bit wary getting into this book because I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this book. Also, it's a short book, so it could either go good or bad. It went great. This is another book that is very thoughtful, is very funny. There's a lot of banter in it. And one thing I love about certain books that I read is reading books from other people's perspectives that I necessarily am not in currently, such as, she is a wife, she has 2 kids. Stop honking. Oh my god. Side note, after getting a Kindle, every book that I'm literally looking at, I'm like, the font is so small, the font is so small. No, when I read this, I did not think the font was small. I think it's just me comparing this to a Kindle now because my size is size 8, so I'm like, this is so small. Do you feel the same? And Nora is also very independent, a very strong-headed woman, which I love reading about. We all love reading the, oh my god, I'm a delicate woman, help me, save me kind of things, that's fun sometimes, but like, I loved reading this because she was just like, she knew what she wanted. Also, the dialogue dialogue is very easy to read. They're very simple, very concise, and also the kids, the dialogue of the kids is just so cute, and it's just written perfectly and beautifully is what I'm trying to say. And I think I gave this a 4-star. And do you know what that means? That means those were my top 5 romance books that I think you should read in 2025. As I mentioned, they each have their own special individual things that make them special. They are not just romance books, they are more than romance books. And the sun has now decided to really brighten up my life. Thank you. Where were you when I was filming this whole segment? So I hope this video gave you some inspiration and some inspiration on the books that you would like to read. If any of these books persuaded you to read them, please let me know which ones you'll be reading in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to stay tuned to the videos I post every single week, and follow me on all my social media platforms because I be posting them every day. And please subscribe. And I guess I will see you in my next video. Bye. All the books say bye as well. Bye. Bye.